In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a really super simple door just using a click detector and a single script. Assuming you've got Studio set up and you're in a new base plate, we can get started. So all we need to do is go over to the workspace, click the little plus icon here, click part, and this is our door. If you click on it in the Explorer, press F and we can focus on this part. If I drag it over here for a second, and I'll scale it up just to make it look a bit more like a door. There we go, something like that. And you can change any of the properties of the part however you want. So we could change material to wood, we could change the colour, anything like that, but I'm just going to keep it as a simple plain grey door. But the main property we do want to focus on is up here, anchored. If the part is not anchored, it will fall over and just be a bit of a failure. So yeah, we want the door to be anchored so it doesn't move or it's not affected by physics, essentially. So now we've got our part, we can rename it something like door, it doesn't really matter. But what you want to do next is click the little plus icon next to your new part, and we want to insert a click detector, and as well as this we just want a basic script, the normal script here. This will open the script editor where we have this print hello world. This is always there by default when you make a new script, and we do not need it, so we can just delete it. Okay, to start the script, first we're going to make a variable that references the actual door part. So we do that by typing local door equals script.parent. Okay, so it's just convention to write local in front of variables when you're initializing them. This is seen as good practice and you'll just get in the habit of doing it anyway. But what this means is create a variable called door and set it equal to the parent of this script. If you don't know what the parent means, if we look at the Explorer over here, the script is inside the door, which means the script is a child of the door, or the door is the parent of the script. So basically we've got a reference to the door part. Next we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it for the click detector. So we'll say local click detector equals door dot click detector. So now we've got the variables set up. To make this door work, we want to connect an event to the click detector so that we can run some code when it is clicked by a player. And to do that, we need to write the following code: click detector dot mouse click connect function p. Okay, this might seem really confusing at first, so I'll just quickly explain what each part does. Mouse click is an event of the click detector object. You can find information about it on the Roblox documentation if you want to find out more. But generally with events, we write the object, then dot the event name, and then we need to connect it to a function, and the syntax for this is colon connect with a capital C, then in brackets function with the arguments. Okay, arguments basically are extra information that we get from this event. So in this case it's P, which is a bit cryptic. I'm just going to change that to player because that's what it stands for really. So events like the one here, they usually pass arguments to a function, which is basically these variables, extra information that you can use with your code. So in this example of the click detector, we get past the player that clicked, so that can be really useful if we want to do something to that player once they've clicked. But inside this function, on line 5, between here, we're going to write the code, and this code is what will be run every time the door is clicked. So essentially we want the door to open when it's clicked, and we can do that simply by saying door.transparency equals 1 to make the door invisible. And we also want to make it so that players can walk through it, and we do this by setting the can collide property to false. Now that we've done that, if we were to run this code, once we click, the door would just stay invisible forever and would not come back, but we want it to close after a certain amount of time. To do that, we have to wait by saying task.wait and then brackets. Task.wait basically means wait a certain amount of time before executing the next line of code and moving on. If you leave the brackets empty, it's basically a really short time. but we want to put a number in because we want the door to be open for at least a few seconds. We can choose any number you want. I'm going to say 2 seconds, and then after that we want to close the door. So to do that, we just do the opposite of what we've just done. So door.transparency equals 0, so it is visible, and door.canCollide equals true. And that's it. Now you have a working door in 10 lines of code, and you could probably do it in less. So let's test it and see what happens. Now that I've loaded into Studio, I'll just go over to the door and click it, and it's invisible. Wait 2 seconds and it comes back. When it's visible, I can't walk into it because the canCollide property is set to true, but when I open it, I can walk through it as if it was never there, and then I can't again. Some quick improvements. I'm just going to make a frame around the door so you can actually tell where the door's meant to be when it's open, because it looks a bit stupid. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've just put 3 parts around the door as a frame, just so we can see where the actual door is. So now if I test it, it should look a bit better. Here we go. You can see that the door is opening and closing, as we'd expect. Okay, so this was a really simple example of how to make a door, and you can customize this however you want and make it more complicated, but this was just a quick introduction on how to use click detectors. If you're happy with this, you can stop watching here, but if you want to learn a bit more and improve this door system, make it work and feel a little bit better, keep watching, because I'm going to show you how to make some quick improvements that will save you a lot of hassle in the future. For example, if you make loads of doors, so if I'll group this into a model, call it door so it's all together. Say I had 50 doors. I'm not actually going to make that many, but say I had 50 doors and I wanted them all to do the exact same thing when you click on them. With the system we've got now, each door part has its own script. So if you edit one of these, it's not going to change any of the others, which can be a bit annoying. Say you wanted to make a sound play when you open the door, then you're going to have to change every single script in every door in the game. Whereas with this method now, I'll keep these doors actually. No, I won't. I'll delete them. I'll just leave one. But with this method that I'm going to show you now, we can manage all the doors in the game in one single script, and it's super easy and keeps your code organized. To do this, we're going to use a service called collection service, and all we need to do is make one more script, and we'll put it in server script service over here. So if we insert a script, delete the hello world. Okay, cool. Now that we've got a blank script, we want to actually reference collection service as a variable just to keep the code nice and clean. So we'll say local collection service is game : get service collection service. If you wonder how I'm typing so quickly, it turns out I'm actually not. When I start typing, you can see this little prompt comes up, and if you want to autocomplete, you just press tab and it autofills for you. So that's a good way to start scripting really quickly and look impressive while you do it. But anyway, we've got collection service now. So collection service basically allows you to assign tags to different objects. Tags just being a string, like a word such as, in this case we'll probably use door, and it means that you can loop through every object with that tag as a group and then do things to them, and it's really good for keeping code organized. Like in this situation, this is the perfect example of when you'd use it. Another example of when you might use it is when scripting kill bricks, like in an obby. You don't want to have a script in every single kill brick because it can get really messy and frustrating. So yeah, this method applies to lots of different things. Anyway, now we've got collection service, let's write the code. So we're gonna loop through every door in the game and basically copy and paste this code into this new script. So to do that, we need to use a for loop. I'll write it out and then I'll try and explain how a for loop kind of works. So we say for I, v in collection service get tagged door do. Okay, this might seem like a random collection of letters and words, but this is the syntax for a Roblox for loop. One type of for loop anyway. Basically, these are two variables we initialize. I is a counter variable, so as we loop through the objects, it'll be first set to 1, then it'll get set to 2, and so on until we've gone through every object. Here, the objects we loop through are given by what you put in between in and do. So this method of collection service, it returns a list of all the objects in the game that have this tag door. And then V is the object that we're currently on in this iteration of the loop. It might be easier to just see what happens and it'll start to make sense from there. So I might rename V to be door so it makes more sense. I we don't really need because we're not counting doors, or it doesn't really have any significance in this code. What I'm going to do now is go over to the first script we wrote. I'm going to cut these lines and paste here. So all we need to do is get the click detector within the door. Make sure whatever variable you replaced V with matches with this variable door, because that's really important. So now we've got the click detector, we just run this code, and yeah, that's all it does. It goes through every door in the game and sets this up. So we can delete the original script from the original door, but make sure to keep the click detector because every door still needs a click detector. You just don't need the script in every door. And something really important we need to do is, this depends how you set up your door. My door is a model with the actual door part inside. If you just had a door part, this would be a bit different. I know what I'm going to do. So click on the actual part that is going to disappear when you click it, and scroll all the way down in properties and go to tags. If you press the plus icon, just add a tag and make sure it's the one that was in your script. So for me it was door with a capital D. Now that that's added, I can click on the door, I can press Command or Control D to duplicate. I'm just going to drag loads of different copies into the workspace. Oops, made a massive one. There we go. I can even rotate them if I want. Anyway, now we test and we'll see if it works. As you can see, when I click on the doors, the exact same functionality that we'd expect happens, but with all of them. And we've done that using just one script. If we want the door to, say, instead change colour, I'll just quickly type that out. So door.brickcolor equals brickcolor.random. Let's set the transparency to 0.5. Say we wanted to customize it a bit like this. All we need to do is change it in this script that's in server-script service, because now when we play, it applies to every door in the game, and all I have to do is change one little bit of code. So yeah, that's one of the improvements you can make to this simple door system, and here's a little introduction to collection service. It doesn't really get much more complicated than that. So yeah, I hope this tutorial was helpful. I hope you've learned something new about scripting from it. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what I should make a tutorial on next. I'm going to cover some more basic things like this, and then if there's any more advanced topics that you want me to do, let me know and I will cover them. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.